Fifth. Fifth. Good morning, good evening, good day, whatever. Welcome to the show. My name is Stuart Davis, and I am a flawed man of God. How's it going, everybody? I'm a deacon at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. Not a pastor, not a biblical scholar, haven't been to seminary, not trying to get you to join my church or donate to any special cause. What I'm here to do, talk about God, talk about Jesus, talk about the Holy Spirit, talk about the Bible, talk about Christianity, talk about a wide variety of topics, issues, current events, and give you my perspective on it. So one that I think is consistent with being your average Christian guy. I've been a Christian all my life. 40 years, non-denominational Protestant. I don't subscribe to any particular doctrine or denomination. It's just every day in the Word, trying to do it better each day. So you can see me as I do it good sometimes, and sometimes I'm poor at it. But either way, I'm going to be out here live presenting you what I think will help bring about a show that reflects Christ as good as I can, or as well as I can. So if you're somebody who is interested in learning more about Christianity, maybe you're curious about what it's all about, maybe you have a voice in the back of your mind wondering if there's more to your existence than just your life here on earth. If that's you, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. Hopefully, I can give you some sort of insight, some sort of perspective, give you some clues as to what it's like to be a Christian, what we believe, and show you why it is the correct choice to make in life. Maybe you'll decide to go to church. You might bump into somebody just like me at that church. Maybe I can help dispel some misconceptions you have about the Bible, maybe about church in general. There's a lot of stereotypes out there. There's a lot of preconceptions, and some people have been hurt by folks who didn't represent Christianity the way it should have been. Didn't treat you like maybe you ought to have been treated, so that you could give faith the fair shake that it deserves, and that you owe it. But whether that's you or you're already a Christian and you just enjoy Christian topics and conversations, I encourage you to be part of the chat. Join us. We got a great group of folks who tune in and night out and file in here, and we have a great time. We run this very similar to a Wednesday night study group or a Sunday school group, where we try to get to know each other better, try to talk about some off-topic stuff, and just focus, and then give our honest takes on what we're discussing. Mostly that's the Bible. So if you think that I'm right, you think that I'm wrong, whatever it is, if you have an insight into a specific passage, you have some life experience, if this is speaking to you in a certain way, put it in the chat. We're a small enough group, definitely a small enough group, that if you put it in the chat, I'll read and react to it. So with that said, welcome to Open Topic Friday. We spend a week talking about what's in Scripture. Of course, we've only had 2 episodes this week, but we use Friday as casual Friday, and we talk about other things, because a lot of stuff in the Bible can be heavy. There's some laughs. Sure, we have some reactions to it, and we talk about that stuff. But faith and spiritual health, it's a heavy thing. So it's good to just get away from it and talk about something else. Help us go into the weekend with a smile, or at least being just kind of help unwind, help us digest what we've learned earlier in the week by thinking about something else. Let the back of your mind chew on it. How's everybody doing? Dresden is the first, second, third, and fourth guy in the chat. But are you the guy with the very? Are you the guy with the booze? Guys, it's been a good week. Been a good week, and looking forward to this weekend. But what I did today, because we're having company over tomorrow, is enjoy and we're having some company over to enjoy a birthday party for my daughter. And so I cleaned up this man cave so that it'll be nice and presentable. Dude, it is so what better feeling is it right after you've really just made up a room exactly how you want it. It's clean and it's orderly and it's ready to go. And you can just sit down and relax and do whatever you want. That is me right now. Wife had a good day at work today, so we all went out and kind of celebrated some of her accomplishments this week, which was really good. And yeah, had myself a. I'm a cocktail drinker, guys. I'm not a sipping whiskey type of person. I will do it from time to time. But what I really enjoy is a good cocktail. So I had a ginger bourbon and habanero, some sort of cocktail at the restaurant. It was really good. Some wings, had some pizza, had a good time. Good time with family. Enjoyed what I was doing at work. It's been a good week, guys. It's been a good week. And so the only thing that I kind of struggled with was putting together what tonight's topic is. Now, it's 8:38 and the last comment in the chat was 8:30. And I'm guessing, just guessing here, that StreamYards is going to do exactly what I thought. Dump all of them here. Yep. There we go. Blaine, 8th. Blaine, are you streaming tonight? Are you streaming tonight? Emmanuel's here. Matt Felty's here. Wild Weeb is here. There you go. And Nernaeth is here. I knew Nernaeth would show up because we're talking about history tonight. We might do that. We might do a this day in history or this week in history. All right. Can you DM me in Discord the link since I'm not signing into Twitter for Lent, and I'll show up. Probably, maybe, yes, at least for a little bit. Guys, if you like anime, if you like having a good time, if you like laughs, Blaine's Escape Corn is a great channel. He's a friend of the show. Been on here a couple of times. Always coming in with his takes. Highly enjoy it. Highly recommend it. If the Asian culture discussion of cartoons is in your wheelhouse. So, gun law rants? I haven't heard one yet, but I would definitely like to be there for one. Yeah, I knew you would like that. It's definitely a show for you. So, Blaine said, spicy Kentucky mule sounds like cocktails are far too vast to be against. I love a mule. Mules, all right, so standby cocktail will always be the Long Island iced tea. Long Island iced tea is always my standby. I also enjoy a whiskey sour. I enjoy Moscow mules or other types of mules, vast majority of mules. Really been loving the mules recently because it's a little bit easier on me. I've got the GERD, guys. I've got the GERD, and sometimes bourbon can activate that. And so got to take some medicine, maybe some Tums, keep that angry digestive enzymes from tearing up my esophagus. Wild Weeb, nobody believes this. The average cartoon fan versus the Moon Rune enjoyer. John Smoth is here. What the heck is up, Denny's? I like Denny's. I am a Waffle House. I am Team Waffle House. Absolutely. John Smoth. Oh gosh, I haven't had a Long Island iced tea in forever. I'm going to drink some mead tonight, though. Mead, I'm hit or miss on mead. Depends on what my mood is. My dad makes some mead, or has made mead in the past, and it's been pretty good. But a lot of times he likes to mix this stuff with peach. Like he's made peach wine. I'm not a peach fan. I mean, I could eat a peach for hours, but I don't like peaches. So, Nico's in the chat. Hello, Nico. Hello, Nico. And this is what Friday's all about. To get the gang together to talk about other things. Other things. Guys, y'all come in, all kidding aside, and here's my thankfulness piece of the show is I appreciate y'all's chatting about when we go through. Appreciate it when you listen. Sometimes I have to remind myself that that's what y'all are doing. Y'all are just listening along, and that's what it is. Sometimes it'll be just me and Emmanuel talking, or just me and Nico talking, just me and one of you guys talking, and it's everybody else is kind of just listening. I have to remind myself of that because I'm a chatterbox, and not everybody is like that. Some people are listeners, and I like to listen as well. But I spend a lot of time in the day listening, so it's good to get that time where I get to run my mouth, which I'm somewhat good at. Mead with cherry, Viking blood is delicious. I would try that. Cherry can be a little rich for me. To me, it's just like it just needs a hint of it, right? But like cherry flavored drinks, generally it's too syrupy sweet for me. But a little bit of it goes a long way. So, all right, guys. Hopefully you guys have had a good week. Hopefully you guys are getting ready to unwind and go into this weekend and have a good time. But tonight we're going to talk about history. I like history. We should talk more about history. We talk about the history of Christianity almost every night. And we'll touch on it a little bit today in a couple of things because I said, well, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about? Nernaeth posted something about the Sky Raider, the last great prop attack plane, in my opinion. Where's that? You put that in the general chat, I bet, Nernaeth. But and then a story in which they drop a latrine, basically, on the enemy. But I figured we'd go a little bit deeper into things. So tonight is the evening of March 10th. Cut the syrup meat with vodka, Blaine says. the evening of March 10th, and I was looking through here, some interesting things happen. Some things that we might all find interesting. So I'm going to go through them, and I'm going to stop on stuff that matters or that are worth talking about. Should have refilled my drink. Oh well. So we'll go back, geez, almost 40 years. Apparently nothing interesting has happened before then, but in March 10th of 1987, March 10th, 1987, I went up to historynet.com for this. Jesus. 1987, the Vatican condemns surrogate parenting as well as test tube and artificial insemination. Now, there are still some very hot opinions about this in Christian circles. If you go on Christian Twitter, which I haven't recently because of Lent, but if you go on the Christian Twitter, you will hear a lot of people vehemently against this. And I agree with surrogate parenting. And I agree with any type of test tube baby. I guess that's what they're talking about. Artificial insemination, I'm kind of on the fence on. It. Some people have legitimate difficulty conceiving. It's not new. It's biblical, actually. Sarah and Abraham. So what's the issue from a Christian perspective? Okay, so surrogate parenting is surrogate parenting. You're paying somebody else to have your kid for you, and you there's a natural way to do it, and then there's an artificial way to do it. The natural way to do it is you just have sex with the other person. You have this third party, right? Somebody is sterile. It is either the wife or mother, whatever you want. The female partner, a female partner, is barren. The man is sterile. Either or. Or you have two women and two men. And the way that God designed the world, two men cannot have a baby and two women cannot have a baby. A woman cannot get a woman pregnant and a man cannot get a man pregnant. Despite whatever you see on the cover of Time or whatever magazine is pushing the current year issue. What it eventually involves is somebody else. They're either artificially inseminated or they are naturally inseminated, which involves some sort of the natural way involves some sort of infidelity, and the artificial way is just not. It's not part of a union between a man and his wife, right? And then and so you can argue that part with the in vitro fertilization, but again, generally with in vitro and artificial insemination, you're talking about the husband is providing his sperm and a woman is providing her eggs or her whatever, and it's being done artificially and then implanted into the woman and I don't know much of the details behind it because it's just something we haven't been involved in. We thought about it a little bit because my wife has genetic hearing loss. She wears hearing aids. She hears just fine when she wears hearing aids, but the genetic condition is genetic, right? And it tends to get worse before it gets better. So you'll have a person who is completely deaf, and then the following generations will have less and less hearing loss, and then at some point it resets and it becomes uh, total deaf again. And so we're very much on the my wife is very much at the not a lot of hearing loss. So we were worried that we were going to have a deaf child, and we were um, wondering about that. And we were very young at the time, so we thought about um, in vitro, but it's very expensive, and so what we were thinking about doing is doing adoption, and of course, adoption is a very expensive endeavor, no matter which way you seem to look at it. And we just became where we just like, okay, we're just gonna run the risks and we're gonna have our own kids, and we did, right? But the thing to me is once you get a surrogate involved, the reason I'm against it is we have plenty of kids that are and so having a surrogate is not cheap either. So if you're going to spend the money for a surrogate, you might as well adopt. There are plenty of kids around the world in your own community that need to be adopted, that need to be loved, that need to be brought up. I understand the desire to sire your own progeny. However, um, the means of doing that, the correct means of doing that, are not open to you. So if you want to be a parent, but you can't be naturally, why don't you be a parent to a kid whose natural parents have abandoned them in one way or another, either by choice, or because they were detained by the state for whatever reason, or they died. We have a lot of kids in very bad situations, and all you have to do is foster them, or look in the news when you see kids being fostered then adopted by a couple that's going to rape them and make them and subject them to sexual abuse over and over and over again, and then get caught for it and not care about them at all. It's a broken system. There's a lot of reasons and explanations. I don't need to get into it tonight about that. However, again, if you're unable to have kids naturally, and you're going to spend the money and make the effort to do surrogacy or involve a third party, I don't see the moral reasoning behind it. And so, yeah, I'm against surrogate parenting. Um, and generally, surrogate parenting is for is a rich people thing. It's generally a rich people thing. So, it's just I don't agree with it. I don't find any type of when we see surrogate parenting in the Bible, it usually doesn't end well. Usually doesn't end well. So the Vatican at this point went out and said that. I don't know if they've recanted. I wouldn't be surprised if they have. So there you go. That's my Christian perspective on things. I could be wrong about this. A lot again. This is to me This is a hot button issue among a lot of Christians um, on Twitter and in social media places. Um, to me, I think that it's worth having an opinion on, but it's not a hill worth dying on, right? This is not the one where, if you don't agree with me on this, you're not a Christian. I'm not denouncing somebody for this. I do have a lot of problems with it, and it does give me pause. Nico, so what's the issue from a Christian? I answered that. Hang on. Chat scrolling's getting screwy on me. Emmanuel, 40 years ago, we thought we have the technology. People today thought we have the technology, but the question is, we can do it, but whether we should. There's the Emmanuel Osorio coming in with the Jeff Goldblum comment of the night, and very true. We can do a lot of things, even back then without. I mean, even if you take technology out of it, we have the ability, we have the means, we have the brains, the intelligence that God gave us to do a great many things that we want to do. The question is, are the things that we want to do and the things that we desire to do, are they correct? Should we do them? And throughout history, we've done things that we shouldn't have, as we read in the Bible. Depends on how you do it and what you do with any extra embryos. I mean, the Catholic take could have been informed by the theory of the quickening, which is a medieval concept. Yes. So, John Smoth, IFV is sketchy, sinful in my opinion, but I don't want to bind anyone's conscience. It leaves so many fertilized eggs, babies, frozen for decades. Yeah, right. And if you believe it that life begins at conception, that's very difficult to live with. Yeah. And this is kind of where I land on that. IFV is sketchy, not willing to bind anybody's conscience to it. I'm not willing to really call somebody out too much for it. I mean, I would have a conversation. If they asked me my opinion, I would give it to them, but I'm not wagging my finger at anybody over it. And, that's kind of the so many fertilized eggs is kind of the collateral damage. All right, move on from that. In 1982, the United States bans Libyan oil imports because of the continued support of terrorism. It's the 80s, guys. This is before what? And OIF, September 11th, and all that stuff. Remember, guys, terrorism has existed long before September 11th, and it was not and is not limited to the Middle East or Islam. It certainly is a chief export from both. 1980, Iran's leader, the Ayatollah Khomeini, lends his support to the militants holding the American hostages in Tehran. This is part of what got Ronald Reagan elected as president, is taking the man stance on this. They're coming home, making it known to the American people that he's bringing them home, and then ultimately bringing them home. This was the undoing of Jimmy Carter, who, going into this, was, I believe, pretty popular, despite having a crappy economy. The other thing that Ronald Reagan improved. 1975, the North Vietnamese army attacks the South Vietnamese town of Buon Ma Thuot. I don't know how to pronounce that correctly. The offensive will end with total victory in Vietnam. And yeah. Thoughts on the Vietnam War is thus. We didn't fight it like we should have. We treated it like a political game, and maybe that political game is what got us involved with in Vietnam in the first place. In Vietnam, we had a lot of leaders who were tested and veterans of both World War II and the Korean conflict. Very capable in understanding, and our technology was ridiculously more advanced in this than it was in World War II and Korea. So why did we have so many problems? Partially, the will to fight was different. The will to fight was different. We didn't have a Pearl Harbor, right? What was the? Somebody remind me, the destroyer, the Navy ship that got attacked, that maybe didn't get attacked. It was just trying to get us involved. This Vietnam War started as far back as the 50s with the Kennedys. An entanglement, if you were Will Smith or Jada Pinkett Smith, you might call it an entanglement. Not the Bismarck or the Lusitania. Stop it, Nernath. You know. Crap. Hang on. Now it's going to drop. Now it's going to drive me nuts. Gulf of Tonkin. Gulf of Tonkin with USS the USS Maddox. How did I not know? The destroyer USS Maddox was allegedly conducting an ELINT collection mission in international waters in the Gulf of Tonkin when it was attacked by 3 P-4 torpedo boats of the North Vietnamese Navy. Reports later reached Johnson administration. Johnson was a jerk, by the way, saying that the Maddox was under attack 2 nights later after being joined by the destroyer Turner Joy. The Maddox again reported that both vessels were under attack. There was rampant confusion in Washington, but the incident was seen by the administration as the perfect opportunity to present Congress with a predated declaration of war in order to strengthen weakening morale in South Vietnam through reprisal attacks by the U.S. on the North. Look. A destroyer getting attacked is not a U.S. Navy port on a U.S. state being bombed and thousands of people dying. And it wasn't a sneak attack in the sense that half of the naval air force was sent to destroy on a U.S. military installation. The will to fight was not there. There was discussions about, communism is terrible and it should be fought and mocked, ridiculed, and made out to be the foolish idea that it is all the time. However, that's not getting us into a shooting war, that doesn't mean we should get into a shooting war over it. Nico says, "Where's the reparations for fake news and politician lies?" Look, we would all be Elon Musk if that was the case. And this kind of stuff didn't just start here. You can go all the way back to yellow journalism around the turn of the 19th or around the turn of the 19th century, 20th century. Shoot, the 1900s, the late 1890s and the 1900s, to find instances where journalism was used to get us into armed conflict. The Vietnam War claimed a lot of lives that probably would have been spared if we just fought the war like Americans should fight wars. All out assault, not in there to win hearts and minds. We're in there to fight a war, kill people, break stuff, blow things up, and you carve a path straight into Hanoi, take out the leadership, end the war. Communism especially. It's state it's all centralized state maintained. So if you remove it, if you removed Ho Chi Minh and his lackeys, you would have ended the war. But we didn't do that. We could have assaulted Haiphong Harbor. We could have stormed the beaches there, just like we did at D-Day. Done it way better because it would have been way easier to do it. And it probably would have been messy all the way up there, all the way up to Hanoi. But again, how long is that going to take versus let's take it at the Gulf of Tonkin moment. August of 1964. When is Saigon? 1973. 9 years. And the fallout and the lack of faith and the many lives and treasure we gave up during that time because somebody thought that it was good politically, that it would help with the Cold War or whatever. Instead of just, here's a war, let's go fight it. We started Operation Iraqi Freedom like that. Rolled right in. Same way we did it in Desert Storm. Just roll right in. Take them out. Take out leadership. Fight it that way. How we kept it in, how we stopped in when we stopped in Iraq is when we decided we were just going to hang around, and that's when things got sticky. Not to say that we weren't doing a lot of damage and giving way worse than we took. But again, what does that do to the human psyche when the United States military, because of the culture of America, the foundational culture of America, we're not a police force. That's not how we're trained. That's not part of our doctrine. That's not the attitude of our soldiers. We don't go into the military with the mindset that we're going to be a police state. We're taught to fight, kill, secure, transport, lots of things. But occupy over a prolonged period is not what we do. And that, if you want to know why the Afghan wars and the Iraq war turned into to what it was, it's because that's how we did it. After September 11th, if we knew that if the Al Qaeda had done it and the Taliban was involved with it, my opinion, we should have just wasted Kabul, right? Drop some daisy cutters there. All the buildings are down. Everybody goes and hides in the hills, and we just leave the message. You crashed into a couple of buildings. We took out an entire city. If you want to do this again, we'll come back and do worse. We will always do worse than you did, and eventually, there won't be any of you left. So that's why we have that's our problems. Same thing, Black Hawk Down. Why we were in Somalia. I understand the humanitarian issue behind that, but again, we're not there to sit around. We need an active mission with purpose. Now, Gothic Serpent was an active mission with purpose, but good old Bill Clinton did not want to properly support the mission in a way that would be what is this? It would be too conspicuous for whatever reason. Mind you, in Gothic Serpent, which everybody refers to as Black Hawk Down, the request was to have AC-130 Spectre gunships and armor, U.S. armored cavalry, come in for the mission, but it was denied. The amount of damage we did, though, with just a handful of Delta and two companies of Rangers was it's pretty impressive. But everybody views it as a loss. And what we did, we allowed when those helicopters went down, when Mike Durant was captured, and Gary Shugart and Randy Shugart and Gary Gordon were killed, stripped down in front of and videotaped being dragged through the streets along with the rest of the air crew of Mike Durant's Black Hawk. We lost the image there. And that's not what we do. That should not have been tolerated at all. Now, we got Mike Durant back. I highly recommend the book he wrote, In the Company of Heroes. He talks a little bit about his time there and the time leading up to that, where his career leading up to that. But that shouldn't have ever happened. Helicopter went down. Yeah, okay. Two Bradleys and an Abram are coming over to get him. Secure the area. And screw anybody who wants to get in the way. Right? When we make mistakes like that for optics, I can understand a strategic error. I can understand tactical, just being outmaneuvered tactically. But when we do dumb stuff because the politicians get involved, can't stand that. People die for dumb stuff. That's my biggest problem with Snowden. I don't have a problem necessarily that he blew the whistle and that he ran with documents showing that. What he showed, it was all the extra stuff that he just dumped out there that could have gotten good people who depend on the government looking out for them, getting exposed and killed, right? I said Snowden did a lot of this is something that me and Nick have had had arguments about in the past, because I think Snowden does have some things to answer for. I think a lot of what he did was good, but I think that a lot of what he did likely had collateral damage that ended some people's lives that had nothing to do with with what he was trying to do. He said, "Commies? You mean the pathetic, starving people? Laugh at them because they thought it was a good idea, but no need to shoot them if they are already in a messed up mindset." I mean, no animal cruelty, guys. Yeah, yeah. Show me a communist, and I'll show you a hungry person, a starving person. Like Liberty Prime would say, death is a better alternative than communism. It is one of the few things Rocky IV did right. We've never been the world police, and screw anyone who wants us to be that. I agree in that case. There are times where I draw the line is, and what I don't think ends up happening. America needs to look out for America's best interests. It's the job of the American government to serve the people. Do they ever do it? I'll let you decide on that. We have opinions, but the government should ultimately be doing what's best for the nation, the people, right? And if that means doing what drilling for oil in a foreign nation, sure, yeah. If we're annexing something, expanding our borders, whatever. If it's for our good, that's what they should be concerned about. That's why it's hard to resent China for some of the things they do, because what is China doing? China is trying to do. China is trying to accomplish their objectives. Now, do they have their own people taking their own people into account of that? Not really. They're not really looking out for them. They're looking out for the party. But that's what they're going to do, right? We depend on our nation to work in our best interest. But do they? Well, they have it for some time, I think. My BC wrote a great book on OIF 1 about that. The Last Warrior King, Lieutenant Colonel Sassaman. Ooh. I have to read that. Freedom is our core values along with biblical teachings. It is not who we are, but it is who we are, but we're not going to kowtow to other nations. But yeah, we'll see. Wild Weeb's back, allegedly. Nernaeth, what about Operation Paul Bunyan? Is that what should have happened? Are you going to do? No, we'll talk about Operation Paul Bunyan. Put that in the Discord. We'll talk about Paul Bunyan on another night, maybe next Friday. Oh wait, next Friday I'm not gonna be streaming next Friday. But yeah. Maybe the Friday after that. Dang, I'm getting ready for work, but what a bad take on Nam. Alex, give me your take. I mean, I'm open to hear things about it. I mean, I'm fine if we don't even get involved in it, but I'm saying if we were going to get involved in Vietnam, we should have fought it decisively and not done what we did. And there were a lot of generals who wanted to do it the same way we tore through Europe. But Congress told him no. But the Pentagon told him no. And I used to laugh when I was younger and more naive. I used to laugh at the Eisenhower warning about the military-industrial complex. But the more I've seen after deploying and seeing some of that stuff in action, there's merit to it. There's significant merit to it. And having been a defense contractor, even not in a combat sense, not in a war zone sense, there's a lot of money involved. There's a lot of money in the Beltway. It's a lot of money the government dishes out to people. So a lot of people stand to make it. A lot of people got rich. A lot of people got rich in World War II. A lot of people got rich during the Cold War. A lot of people got rich during Vietnam. Mind you, this is something I agree with Glenn Beck on. The only thing Roosevelt did to get us out of the Great Depression that he made worse with all of his socialistic projects. The only thing that Roosevelt did to pull us out of the Great Depression was get us into World War II. And the amount of money that Europe owed us that we forgave after World War II is incredible. Dude, they'd still be paying us back. It'd be like the Bobby Bonilla contract of world world diplomacy. But Alex, no, I'm genuinely interested in hearing maybe whatever criticism of my take on Vietnam, but what your take is. I know it's probably long and drawn out, and you're getting ready for work and everything. But I'm just to let you know, I'm genuinely interested to hear it. Nam was premised on domino theory, which was a crock. Many were saying it before the USSR collapsed. Well, the Soviets got theirs. Soviets got theirs in Afghanistan, and that was their Vietnam, and it was ugly then. Emmanuel, I love God's gift to us, but man, I just hate that idealism and what idealism and realistic views of life does to some people. Well, these gifts are meant to be used in measured approaches. Idealism is good in some capacity, in some situations. Same thing with realism, right? Specific doses. And it's up to us, it's up to us to use wisdom and experience, discernment to balance those out and apply them correctly. And oftentimes we get it wrong. Sometimes you have to be on the outside looking in to point that out. It's hard. It's hard, but yes, idealistic beliefs and attaching yourself idealistically to not, in my opinion, to non-Christian disciplines. Like some people are completely attached to libertarianism or progressivism or, insert whatever ideology here. How does that corrupt? How does that change that person? And how does it affect how they should look at things? A lot of times it can cloud your judgment. Didn't Roosevelt make the Workers' Corps, or was that the one after Eisenhower? I remember it was a socialist. Oh yeah. Matt Feldy, whoa, haven't heard Bobby Bonilla's name in a while. Well, Bobby Bonilla Day still exists. He is still getting paid by the Mets. What an absolute Chad move by his agent. Dude is still getting that time, getting that. So is Ken Griffey Jr., by the way, by the Reds. We're still paying him. The one who did all the forced roads and stuff. I know you. I can't remember who it is, but yeah, it was around that time. Matt said, grew up a Braves fan, so series with the Pirates were fun. The days of small ball were fun. Look, Hanover, where I live, is just outside of Richmond, Virginia. We grew up going to the Richmond Braves games. I saw Chipper Jones play when he was a prospect several times. Ryan Klesko, David Justice, Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, all those guys coming through there. Unfortunately, not Greg Maddux. He came over from the Cubs. But my wife is a huge Braves fan, huge Chipper Jones fan. Even though he totally blew her off when she was down at spring training asking for his autograph. She wasn't old enough at the time to be one of his ex-wives. I'm a huge baseball fan, Matt. I want to have my baseball draft, baseball fantasy draft, live streaming that later. When it happens, Emmanuel, it's like those fake commies saying, "Oh, I'd just be chilling on quote my farm unquote." You mean the state? Just give your freedoms and rights to the state, and they'll solve everything. Trust me, comrade. I added comrade at the end. But yeah, I mean, well, most of those folks, it's just like the most of those folks. It's like the set, like all the people out there. Oh, you know what I do, and they won't. It's the same thing. You don't have any idea what you're doing. You do what you do day in and day out. Your life is you live a small life, which I live a small life. A small life. It's confined to the people in your immediate vicinity. You go to work, you get paid, you do that kind of stuff. You go home. You may or may not know how to react to this. Nuneth, I went to Longhorn Cavern and they had a plaque at the Workers Corp that the Workers Corp opened it up to make a state park. Where's that? Where's that, Nuneth? Tejas? It says Longhorn, so I'm just assuming it's Texas. Alex said, dang, that team was so good. Yeah. I'm being a Reds fan. It was just like, yeah, they beat us a lot. I met Chipper and Macon '91 at Single A. Oh yeah, dude, I've been out to Macon. I love it down in Georgia. I like Georgia. My best friends from not far from there, and I've been down there for work. I had a customer down in the. I had a client, Cayman, and J.M. Huber. They mined kale and clay out there and other minerals and shipped them out via rail. This is back when I worked in the rail industry. Just great people all around. Had a great time when I was down there. We we were going when I was down there. My client was going to take me out to the Whistle Stop Cafe from Fried Green Tomatoes. I didn't know it was an actual place they still served food at, but they closed. When we were done doing what we had to do for work, they were closed. So he took me to Honey Boo Boo's house because he's like, "Well, I got to show you something." They hate her down there because all she did with that show, Here Comes Honey Boo Boo, is make people from Macon, Georgia look like trailer trash. Just dumb hit the quintessential. Everybody thinks that those of us from the country in the South are stupid redneck hicks with no class. We're low rent, and that's how we behave. And nobody likes to be made nobody likes that stereotype perpetuated. And so when somebody in your community is doing it on national television, everybody's a little irritated by it. Said he signed his upper deck prospect card for me. Was a shortstop then. Yeah. Dude, guy could ball. So Central Texas, we did a 4-hour crawl through the caverns. I fell into the mud pit and rock pool. Well, that's better than falling into one of the hot spring geysers. Yep, know that plant well, and folks that work there too. It was called Medusa, then Cemex. I remember Cemex. But yeah, that was well. So I got involved when Jam Huber sold um, the Kalen business off, and Kalen was bought by Cayman LLC, uh, which was just an investment group had come in and formed this. And the guy I worked with was one of the guys running the show for the you know distribution of this for this company, the distribution of product, and he had worked there since I think high school. And he said that the Huber company, you know, the Kalen business was the clay business was, you know, was their main focus. And when they came out there and they said they'd sold, he goes, he knew nobody's job was safe. It hurt a lot of feelings down there. But yeah, I know folks at American Railcar Industries. I think it's been bought and it's been renamed. I'm trying to remember the name. Out in Tennille, Georgia, uh, the shop out in Fitzgerald, the rail shop out in Fitzgerald. It used to be Watco. Um, the GATX yard in Waycross. I've done business. Rescar in Gordon, Georgia. Done business with all of them. Um, Marble Hills, Macon, Sandersville. Yeah, the SATX. I think the SATX short line. Like I said, I did a lot of business down there and enjoyed my time when I visited. It was very cool. The food was great. Some of the best raw oysters I had at the time. Best fish tacos I ever had. And I'm trying to remember the restaurant we ate at. I'm trying to remember the restaurant we ate at. I can't remember, but it was a small hole in the wall place. It was in Macon or very close to Macon. Um, and man, it was good. It was so good. What's up, Alias? We're off topic tonight. We're off topic tonight. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat. So, all right, let's move off of Vietnam. 1971 on this day, the Senate approves a constitutional amendment to lower the voting age to 18. First women, now teenagers. What is wrong with us? James Earl Ray in 1969 pleads guilty to the murder of Dr. Martin Luther King and is sentenced to 99 years in jail. As people with three first names tend to do, is assassinate people. 1966, the North Vietnamese capture a Green Beret camp at Ashaw Valley. Um, that's a that was a travesty, by the way. 1954, President Dwight Eisenhower calls Senator Joseph McCarthy a peril to the Republican Party. See, GOP inviting is never has never gone out of style. You call it a civil war. That's because Abraham Lincoln started that trend. 1953. I love this. North Korean gunners. Remember, this is North Korean conflict or the Korean conflict. North Korean gunners at Wonsan fire on the USS Missouri. The ship responds by firing 998 rounds at the enemy position. The USS Missouri, for those who don't know, is a World War II era battleship. If I recall correctly, the main guns on the USS Missouri, you can't be outside on the deck when those things go off. It will kill you. Let's see. Hold on. And I think the Missouri is a Iowa-class battleship. Hang on. Let's see. I could be wrong. It could be before then. Come on. Wikipedia. Yeah. 4 vessels. Iowa, New Jersey, Missouri, and Wisconsin. Yes, Missouri was one of them. It's a monster, folks. The primary armament of an Iowa-class battleship consisted of 9 breech-loading 16-inch 406 millimeter 50 caliber Mark 7 naval guns, which were housed in 3 gun turrets, 2 forward and 1 aft, and a configuration known as the 2A1. I know a buddy who used to be a gunner's mate on one of these. They fired 2,700-pound armor-piercing projectiles at a muzzle velocity of 2,500 feet per second. Big gun for a big ship. It's beautiful. It is. This is why I'm talking. I'm gonna share this real quick. This is a great understanding. We're not talking about how powerful these guns are. Do you see the water being moved? Look at how big this ship is from. All right, so just for the scale, look at the sphere of water being just pushed away by the concussive force of this gun. It's stupid good. It's stupid. Why do we have guns this big? This is why the Second Amendment exists. Shall not be infringed. We're talking about Big Missouri, Nernath. Don't be. Oh, man. All right. So 998 rounds. That's called shelling, folks. Hell yeah, brother. Yeah, brother. It's like the Imperium of Man. That's a cool big gun, but what if we make it bigger and shoot shoot lava? Yes. We're not getting into a pissing contest over battleships. Let's just appreciate battleships. Let's just appreciate battleships, Nernath. Wisconsin is better. USS Texas is more gangster. It breached. Yes, I know. It breached and tilted itself for more range. Yes, I know about that, which was awesome. Let's flood one side so that we can physically make the arc higher, the degree of launch higher. All right, moving on. 1948, author Zelda Fitzgerald, wife of F. Scott Fitzgerald, dies in a fire at Highland Hospital. Okay, I mean, I guess that's news. 1947, the Big Four meet in Moscow to discuss the future of Germany. The Big Four does not include Roosevelt. He's dead man by then. Yeah, yes. Let's yeet these shells further now that that's the American spirit. We can look. The American mantra, The American military mantra is one of my favorites in life. There's a lot of great sayings. All right. One of them is slow is smooth and smooth is fast. You can ask my son. I tell him that all the time. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. When you're doing something, take your time, do it purposefully. It'll end up being faster in the long run. Another one that's more confined to the operators going, admit nothing, deny everything, make counter accusations. I live by those two sayings every day of my life. And then the last one is one of my favorites. If you can see it, you can hit it. And if you hit it, if you can hit it, you can kill it. And that's, my friends, is why battleships exist. The way that they do. The way that Americans make them. And with that said, John Smoth, let's talk about all the great Canadian battleships. Okay, done. Thanks. American military doctrine, accuracy by volume. That actually the Soviets. That's facts, though, for real. Spicy Volkswagens, courtesy of the Volkswagens, courtesy of the USA. Yeah, we've got all these Beetles loaded into this battleship on D-Day. We're returning to sender. We've got warranty issues. So there you go. 1945. American B-29 bombers attacked Tokyo, killing 100,000. I think this is the firebombing that went in Japan when it was going on in Japan prior to Little Boy and Fat Man. 1944, the Irish refused to oust all Axis envoys and denied the accusation of spying on Allied troops. Never trust an Irishman. 1943. So we got a lot of stuff happening. A lot of stuff happened in World War II. Adolf Hitler calls Field Marshal Erwin Rommel back from Tunisia in North Africa. Okay, a lot of people got opinions about the Nazis and whatever. Rommel was pretty brilliant. We didn't really get. We really don't. You really don't understand the matchup that was Rommel versus Patton in North Africa. It was the best and the best going up against the best. With one general, Rommel, commanding some of the best armored cavalry on the field versus Patton fielding some of the worst armored cavalry equipment. Sorry. We had a lot of Shermans. We could punch out Shermans all day. But one Sherman versus one Panzer. Wasn't going to do it. But the alias, yes, the Fox. (1941) Vichy France threatens to use its navy unless Britain allows food to reach France. Well, again, we can go back to John Smoth's comment about the Canadians, and there's the French. We have a birthday. I never heard of that guy, David Rabid. And heard of neither of those plays, but whatever. 1933, Nevada becomes the first U.S. state to regulate drugs. Libertarians seethe over this. This is a gateway drug to American power over controlled substances. Manual. In other news, Sodas just came out with a new Halo animation. Love this guy's work. I don't know if any of you are fans, but I just wanted to share. I'm a huge fan of Halo. Huge fan of Halo. War and Alias. War as I knew it. War as I knew it. Amen. Patton had some weird ideas. The man was brilliant. Emmanuel, Halo is awesome. I hate what Paramount did with the show. I'm very unhappy with how the quality of the last couple of games that came out, though I did actually like the multiplayer in Guardians. It's Remember Reach. It's Remember Reach Bhutan. It's beautiful. I'll have to check that out. Hey, Emmanuel, can you link that to me? Or tell me where to go find it in Discord? Because I am highly interested in that. 1927, Prussia, which doesn't exist anymore. Prussia lifted its Nazi ban. Adolf Hitler is allowed to speak in public. Well, we know what happened to Prussia. 1924, the U.S. Supreme Court upholds a New York state law forbidding late night work for women. Uh, 1918, future German Luftwaffe ace Gunther Rahl is born. Okay. And James Herriot, Scottish writer and veterinarian, All Creatures Great and Small. I think I've heard of that. 1910, slavery is abolished in China. Was it though? Was it abolished and then brought back around the same time the communists came over? Slavery is abolished. Well, again, I guess there was a time at some point where there weren't slaves in China. There you go, people. Birthday to Catherine McLean, Forbes, author of Mama's Bank Account. Never heard of that. Birthday for Leon Bismarck Bix, Biederbach, jazz cornetist and composer. Never heard of him. 1902. The Boers of South Africa scored their last victory over the British, capturing British General Methuen and 200 men. I actually don't know much about that part of military history. I don't know much about that. Is being paid well being allowed to live? 1893. This one caught my eye when I was scrolling through this earlier. 1893. New Mexico State University. I think that's the same one that gave us Brian Urlacher. The Lobos. I think that's the name. New Mexico State University cancels its first graduation ceremony because the only graduate was robbed and killed the night before. Dang. I was the only no one survived. But imagine I was the only guy who graduated from New Mexico State University. Of course, that was well over 100 years ago. Dang. How bad was the learning curve? The Boers were Boers were trash, but almost all the history was written by the English, so they get a shorter stick. Yeah. Well, again, I haven't read much into it. Carl, hey man, what's going on, man? Glad to have you here. My friend in VA. Boer is where you first hear the term concentration camps. Oh, interesting. Tell me, Emmanuel coming in, tell me what you think. I think the federal class 1 drug on weed is retarded, but that's just me. I used to be very much don't legalize it at all. As I get older, a little bit more I'm more wiser in the world. I've I've softened my stance on that very much, especially when it's it seems like it's vast. It's using a sledgehammer to hit a nail, right? I think that I don't like the comparison of it between alcohol because they both have different effects on you. But at the same time, marijuana does have good uses, and I think that a lot of the, believe it or not, a lot of the war on drug stuff is perpetuated by the cartels because it helps make them money. Um, and then so you got that. Of course, they're not really as much. I mean, I guess they are in the weed business, but you also got pharmaceutical companies that want to prescribe opiates and marijuana is a challenge to that. I think I think we need to really loosen our grip on weed restrictions. But do we need to make it fully legalized? I don't know. I'm not as it's not a fight I care about so much. Just because it's just I don't partake in it ever. I've never have. Um, it's one that I'd rather stay away from. But do I think that we over criminalize it? Absolutely. Absolutely, by a wide margin, and I think that it would be appropriate to dial that back significantly at the least. At the least. But I'm not going to tell somebody who's like fully legalize it. I'm not going to tell them they're wrong. I don't like the idea of fully legalizing all drugs, but I don't know. I don't know. Nernath for talking to Carl about the concentration camps. Yes, but the English writing portray them as comically unhygienic, stupid, and lazy. It's laughable propaganda. Neither the English nor the Boers treated the natives well. Well, that's usually there's somebody in the middle getting screwed. Wild Weeb, all night, bros. I'm gonna head out. Have a good night, Stuart. Have a good night, Mr. Weeb. Alias says it also keeps the feds busy and gives them power. That again, that. Also, it's posted on the Discord. I think it should be only used as a recreational thing, but I don't know. To each their own. My take is if you ain't bothering me, then I don't care. Yeah. I mean, again, it all comes back to what a lot of things. It all comes back to a lot of things. Using it in moderation and how is it affecting you? How is it affecting you? Because again, I'm not using this wild turkey 101 for medicinal purposes, but I'm also not getting in a car and driving around once I get drunk. I think there's very much room for conversation. I think there's a lot of conversations are being had, but again, trying to get the feds to listen to something is that's a monumental task there, brother. Wayne says, legalize all drugs and then just shun them, like making smokers stand in those dumb shacks outside. We still now Virginia has a smoking policy. I don't know how it is in other states. I think it's probably similar because I can't remember the last time I went into a restaurant somebody asked me smoking or non-smoking section. I don't know. Was that a federal law then? I can't remember. I thought it was a state thing. But if you're going to allow smoking in a restaurant, it has to be in a completely separately ventilated room or area from the non-smoking section. So it makes it financially difficult. So a place where my buddy plays much, they got around that. They don't offer any non-smoking. It's the whole bar is a smoking section. So, and it smells like it. It definitely smells like it. And a lot of people don't go because the cigarette smoke is too much. It's pungent. I'm not a big fan of cigarette smoke. I will smoke. I will smell a Black and Mild. Black and Mild smells good. God, that's good smelling. Good smelling cigar, or whatever. All right. 1876. Hey, this is an important one. Alexander Graham Bell makes the first telephone call to Thomas Watson saying, Watson, come here. I need you. One small step for Graham Bell, I guess. One small statement from Graham Bell, one giant leap for Verizon and all the cell phone companies. What's going on, my man, Brian? I was talking about you the other day. I think it was in reference to when you're your experience in California, and that you how happy you were to be back. Emmanuel Soria, the glowies actually listening to the people will never happen. But like Nick said last night, the government should be listening to the people because they are the government. Hey, Emmanuel, I think what Edward Snowden told us was that the glowies actually listen to us way more than we want them to. They're listening right now. No, but I understand what you mean. It's the look. This is the problem with government. This is the problem with any government. Anybody who tells you any type of the larger the government, the less power the people have. But you can also find this in small government localities as well. There's always nature abhors a vacuum, and there's always a power vacuum left when nobody's running the show. Somebody has to become a leader. This is what we learned this about in Samuel when God said, when the people were asking for a king, and God said, "You have a king. It's me. If you put a man in place of here, you're not going to like it because of X." And what are we right in the middle of? We just finished First and Second Kings, and now we're in First Chronicles first of two Chronicle books about the kings of in Israel does nothing but screw up. So there you go. Emmanuel, glowies. Oh, we just read that. Blaine said, I felt like the smoking was half fed, half state. Like Fed said no, and state made more specific rules. I remember smoking or non, but then it all disappeared, and then we had 25 feet from the entrance. Yeah, that happened around 2009, 2010, I want to say, for us. Abandoned says, last night I was watching a TikTok video put to the song You Get What You Give, and it showed Donald Trump during his presidency. Made me cry watching it. Never thought I'd miss him so much. Miss you, Donald Trump. Our economy sucks so bad. we abuse the elderly on national television daily because he's the president. Emmanuel, I mean, I'm getting so fired up today because I live in Linwood, and that's seeing the overstretched of welfare queens ignore ignorant people and crime. I really don't like the government because you see it on a daily basis. If we go, we go all the way back to the Johnson administration. He's the one who put it out there. The war on poverty was really just a trough to get people addicted to government entitlements. Now hipsters just vape in your face. They won't get in my face. I got a better beard than they do. Hipsters. Dude, I was walking out into a parking lot the other day, and the building across from where I was leaving. Take it easy, John. The building across from where we're leaving is a brewing company, and they had a food truck there. When anytime you find a brewing company or brewery that's got food trucks, you're going to find hipsters there. Because look, all this craft beer and all that other BS. I mean, you guys might like it. But that beer is hipster beer, and it's made by hipsters generally. So, I mean, guys. is what it is. But man, there were two guys standing out there in front of that food cart, and they were like just stereotypical hipster, skinny jeans, scarves, beards, knit caps, their posture, everything just it was just I was like, stop. All they're missing are handbags. All right. Carl, hey, abandoned I don't know how much I don't know if he's doing anything now, but just so you know, Bandon used to do. He's a fellow Virginian, and he used to do stuff where he would spelunk through old abandoned properties in Virginia. Speaking of abandoned, he said yesterday Joe Biden said that Trump is probably going to be our next president. Okay, good. And he said, I still do them new videos all the time. I remember you telling me you were looking to get back into it. I just haven't paid attention. I need to start checking my. I thought I'm subscribed to you. I should be. Let me go double check. If I'm not, I will be. Blaine said we were craft brewing before it was cool. Yeah, I guess, but you're still not. Seattle's still not cool. Internet. Hey, do you want to like try out the artesian craft beer? It'll like totally blow your mind, dude. There you go. 1948, I'm sorry, 1848, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo is signed, which ends the United States war with Mexico. Alamo, Davy Crockett, Sam Houston. Sam Houston's a Virginian, by the way. Oh, there we go. Carl says, I've seen the videos of the mill here in Danville. There you go. Yeah, Brian and I used to work together. Travis Travers. I'm a big fan of Justified. 1845, Haley Quinn Brown, an educated women's rights leader, is born. Alexander III, Russian Tsar, is born. That's kind of an important one. 1814, Napoleon Bonaparte is defeated by an Allied army at the Battle of Lyon, France. 1806, the Dutch in Cape Town, South Africa, surrendered to the British. I guess maybe surrendering was something that well, that wasn't a surrender. Napoleon was the last. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. I'm not going to get into this. There's a lot of French stuff going on here. 1785, Thomas Jefferson is appointed minister to France. Here's the most important one, maybe tonight. 1776, the book Common Sense by Thomas Paine is published. An incredibly good piece of literature, friends, and an important part of American history. 1772, Friedrich von Schlegel, German romantic poet and critic. Doubt it. Doubt it. German romantic. Not with that language, they aren't. The Dutch are the Dutch are funny. Dutch is pretty much dumbed down German. Alias, Guinness, Harp, Bass, and a single malt Scotch is all you need for beverages. My son was so excited, so we went out to eat, and we don't go out to eat a whole lot. But he was so excited when we did. He said, "Can I have a root beer?" And he was drinking that root beer like it was a Bud Light. He loves root beer. Here we go. 1656 in the colony of Virginia. That's Jamestown. Suffrage is extended to all free men, regardless of their religion. That's where we messed up, guys. Freedom of religion. Should all be Christian. 1503, Ferdinand I, Holy Roman Emperor. That is the. We'll make the joke. We'll make the joke. Wasn't Roman. Wasn't an empire. And it wasn't holy. Has he tried making some from tree roots yet? No, he has not. Here we go. Here's another big one. Year 1515, the building of the great Jewish temple in Jerusalem is completed. Yeah. 515 years after the Messiah's that they're still waiting for is born. Emmanuel, you built the great Jewish temple in Jerusalem as a kid? I know what you're talking about, buddy. In 241, the Roman fleet sinks 50 Carthaginian ships in the Battle of Agusa. Agusa? I don't know how to read these stupid Mediterranean words. I'm worse at that probably than reading the Hebrew names. Let's say it like the Aegean, Agusa? I don't know. I can't do it. Carthage can't catch a break against Rome, though. Carthago delenda est. Yeah, exactly. And in the year 49, Julius Caesar crosses the Rubicon and invades Italy. And there we have it. That's actually a very big piece of history as well. But there we have it. Hour and a half. And we've gone through this. Gone through this very extensive list of things that happened tonight on this day in history with the history.net. I'm closing that out and closing the show. Carthage was a degenerate slave empire. Yeah, well, most of the empires are degenerate. I mean, look, the Mongol hordes, the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, the Greek city-states. Let's see. The Huns, Attila the Hun, raging atheist. All these godless heathens out there in history. Carthage got it bad, though. All right. Where was he? Saw this comment earlier. I needed to get back to it. Alex, if you're still listening, I can't remember if you're in the Discord or not. Again, would love to be at your thoughts on my take where you thought I was wrong in Vietnam. I'm just out of curiosity. I'm not trying to be argumentative. So there you go. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up tonight. Friday night stream. There's not going to be a stream next Friday, just FYI. If you want to support the show, like, subscribe, and get the word out. I got another sub today. I was so excited. I was so happy. Hopefully they stick around. Hopefully they come into the chat. But I'm now at 439 subscribers. That's cool, guys. I like that. But even if all my if my subscribers were only you guys, the guys who come in and out, and the few guys who or a few folks who tune in with any type of regularity, I'd be fine with that. You guys are great. So I want you all to have a great, safe, good, relaxing, productive. Insert your goals here to spend the weekend. Go to church, praise God, and all that good stuff. But to Emmanuel, Matthew, Nernaeth, Alias, Brian, Blaine, John Smoth, who's gone, Carl, Wild Weeb, who is gone. I think I said Blaine, but if I didn't, Blaine, I'll see you later. I'll be on your show in a little bit. Alex Moore, Nico, and Dresden, the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth Dresdens. You guys have a good night. Been great hanging out with you this week, especially the last 2 weeks. We've had a lot of discussion, a lot of long streams that have gone on well into an hour and a half to 2 hours. So it's been great. All right, you guys, take it easy. Have a great night, and God bless.